Welcome. You're listening to Ask the Doulas, a podcast where we talk to experts from all over the country about topics related to pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and early parenting. Let's chat.
Hello, this is Kristin Revere with Ask the Doulas, and I am here today with our own advanced doula, Katie Bertsch. Welcome, Katie.
Hi, thank you.
So happy to have you here. Our topic of the day is comfort measures and how we use them as birth doulas. So let's get into it. So Katie, I had asked you to share some of your favorite tools with clients, whether they're, looking for a unmedicated birth in the home or the hospital, or if they're looking for support with an epidural.
Yeah, going through it, I realized quickly that my list was becoming less quote unquote tools in the sense of, I think I was thinking oils and handball massaging and different things, and just quickly realized it was more just how to support a physiological birth in using positions and movement in their own body to help baby rotate and descend and labor progress. I love physiology and anatomy. I love how the body works. I love knowing that their bodies were created to do this, to birth babies. And so it was really fun to make this list, thinking about all the ways that we can help that mama and baby get to meet each other.
Yeah, and as you speak about your passion for birth, why not let our listeners know a glimpse into why you became a birth doula and some of your related trainings over the years that have really led you to that elite or advanced status that we have within Gold Coast?
Yeah, absolutely. I became a doula about 6 years ago. It was after I had my first son. And my husband and I, we took all the classes. We both love to learn. He, especially with an engineering brain, just wanted all the research. So we took a lot of classes, practiced a lot of things, but it still felt like birth just took us by storm. His birth was pretty hard and we had to be induced, and nothing went how our birth plan was. And so even just quickly learned that it's more of birth preferences and how to achieve the birth that you want, even when things need to change. But I didn't have any of those words. I didn't know any of those things yet. And so I just held so tightly to my plan. Nothing was going the way I wanted, and it was so hard. Thankfully, we had an amazing nurse support. And so she just helped bring us back down to our center and gave us some options. And the birth was great after that. Got this bug in me. Like, I want to know more. I want to be able to help. A lot of my friends were having babies at the same time. And I just kept hearing this theme of, I felt like birth happened to them, like a part of it. They didn't have a voice. Things just kept happening really fast. There weren't choices. They and their partners were just overwhelmed. And I'm just thinking, I love babies. I love birth. And that's not the feeling that you should walk away with. So I got my training through Doula International, thankfully pre-COVID. So we just get to have this awesome 4-day in-person training, hands-on, really intensive. And since then, I've done a spinning babies training, which I will talk a lot about during this because it has just changed the way that I see birth.
Yes, we took it together and it's
it was amazing.
Yes.
So that I've loved and definitely use it every single birth. Just like it almost changes the philosophy of how I walk into it. And then after having a few clients who needed cesareans for medical reasons and then wanted a VBAC afterwards, I wanted to know how that was different for them and how to support them best. So I did a VBAC training, just to give them the specific care that they needed. And I don't know, I love to learn. So I just feel like I'm still trying to build my toolbox to give clients what they need. And after having seen a lot of different types of birth, just seeing the beauty in all the different ways, whether it's fully natural home birth, whether it's a planned cesarean, and absolutely everything in between. There's beauty in all of it, and there is ways to get what you want and use your voice and feel empowered and feel calm and comfortable as you get to meet your kiddo. So I'm very passionate about it. I just love talking about it. I'm excited to talk about these comfort measures.
I can tell you are. I love it. So what's your first tool that you utilize as a doula?
Yeah, I feel like I can't not talk about the birth ball and the peanut ball. Those are definitely easy go-tos, especially because hospitals stock them. And so they'll be in every room that you birth in. But I do think it's helpful to buy a birth ball for your home. And it's important to get the right one for your height so that your hips and knees are at a 90-degree angle. But it's just so versatile. You can sit on it, and you can do hip circles, figure eights, side to side, back and forth, which is all great ways to open and loosen the pelvis, help baby rotate and descend. And you can do these leading up to birth. You can do it while you're still working and swap it out for your office chair, just be sitting on the ball, moving. You can do it as early labor begins, just to relax and find comfort. Great for during surges. It's great for in between them. Really, it can be used whenever. And that's just sitting on it. You can be on all fours and you can lean over it to give your upper body a rest when just you want to relax, you want to melt over the ball, but you still want to be in a really positive position. And you can sit on it and have that open pelvis while you're leaning back or leaning forward on your partner for just a great moment of connection.
Exactly.
So the birthing ball, so great. And then the peanut ball, I think, can be more versatile just because of its size. And you can do a little bit more movement with your lower half. So you can put it between your knees and your feet and extend it behind you for a flying cowgirl, which is a spinning baby's move. And it's just really great for helping baby through the inlet if they're kind of stuck up high. You can put it under one knee that's drawn up high. If you're doing an exaggerated side lying release, that can help them through the mid pelvis. You can kind of rest in a butterfly position with your feet together and your knees out, and you can put a peanut ball under each leg. You can put it under one leg. You can drape it over. So many things.
It is great for rest and leading in, and you can, if you have a hospital bed, you can move it up and down and change into so many different positions. But if you're at home in early labor or birthing at home and don't have a peanut ball, you can just take your pillows and fold them and stick like two of them in between your legs to give you that open outlet.
Yes. Yep. To create some space in the pelvis just by moving your knees apart. Yeah.
Exactly. Great tips. So what are your other favorite tools?
I also love the forward leaning inversion as a position that's just really helpful. Babies get into the best position available with the space available, but that's not always that most optimal OA position where, their head down, they're facing the back, their chin is tucked. That's ideal, but that is not always what happens. Maybe that's just based on where we hold tension on one side or what's going on with the umbilical cord inside. We don't always know, but we know that babies get in the best position they can, but we can help them to get into that more optimal position. And that forward leading inversion is great for that because you lean forward and put your head down, and that gives you a reset to the uterosacral and round ligaments. They stretch while you're down in the inversion, and then as you come up, they reset, and that gives baby room to float off the pelvis and then hopefully rotate, tuck their chin, and re-engage into that best optimal position. And you can do this, if baby's head down, you can do this daily at home after 24 weeks. You can do it during early labor. There's a stall in labor progression. If malposition is indicated, like if baby's asymmetric or OP, and you can do it before an induction or any intervention that is suggested. Like, hey, let's just give baby a chance to reset before we talk about doing this next thing.
Yes. And for our listeners who are not familiar with the forward leaning inversion, you can check out the Spinning Babies website for both videos and tutorials. And I know there are plenty of doulas who are spinning babies trained who have also created YouTube videos that you can search.
Yes, I am not super into the social media world, but I've already seen TikTok videos of it and all those good things. So it's out there and I love that.
Yes, for sure. Okay, what's next?
The sideline release is also great. This addresses 30 plus muscles that go to the pelvis, which is just incredible that one move that is very relaxing is also so productive and so great for your pelvis. This one is great to use, if mom has been at it for a long time and she's exhausted and wants to be laying down in the bed. Then she's got her bottom leg straight, her hips kind of rotated so that she's more on her belly, and her top leg just thrown way over to the side. That's why it's called exaggerated. That is making amazing an opening and movement to the pelvis, which gives baby a chance to rotate if they are in that non-optimal position. And then mom can just breathe and rest while we're supporting. So, because it does feel a little tippy, like you might be falling off, but you're supported.
Yes.
And this stretches the pelvis and the spine muscles. It opens that sacroiliac joint, frees up the sacrum, and softens the pelvic floor just to help that open cervix for the uterus and baby to turn.
And if you have a doula, your doula will likely know how to do the sideline release. But I've been impressed over the years at how many nurses, not only were in our spinning babies training, but just hearing more and more from the hospitals that we work with about how their nurses are getting trained in some of these techniques. And so it's very exciting.
It is. I was at the hospital this weekend, and as we were doing laps walking around, I saw the nurses board and they had posters of different positions on there. They're doing a position of the week. And it was just so encouraging, that they are committed to learning these things to help their clients, because not everyone does have a support person. So if they've got a nurse in the room who understands this, then it's just great for their team.
Exactly. So what's next, Katie?
Just going through the list. Another great one is a posterior pelvic tilt or an abdominal lift and tuck. So if I can kind of describe this one, it would be flattening your back, tucking your hips and tailbone in, lift, and then with your hands lifting your belly during a surge. And this gives baby more room and can help them reposition, especially if they're posterior. It's most helpful if baby's still up high. And sometimes this is a good one to do when the nurse is in the room, because then they can be doing heart tones on baby. Because sometimes, if there is an umbilical cord issue, this can kind of change baby's heart rate. And so for the nurse to already be in there and to know, okay, it's just the position, baby's doing fine. And then hopefully as they re-engage, they're going to be more optimal. And so there's not going to be any heart issues after that.
Exactly. Excellent. So one of my favorite tools is coming up. So tell us about it.
Yeah, well, I switched my list a little bit on you. So which one do you have next?
Rebozo.
Rebozo, yes. So I put massage before it, and I just want to touch on that because it kind of explains some of the reasons the Rebozo is so amazing.
Okay.
But massage, just kind of doing a light touch on their jaw, shoulders, forehead. This can be really relaxing, and it can also be a good quiet reminder. Like sometimes as you're feeling that tension of a surge, you're lifting your shoulders up to your ears and your face is tensing and you've got a furrowed brow. And if you're tensing up there, you're probably tensing down low too. And you just want to open and relax to allow baby to move. So a light touch to, their forehead, jaw, cheeks, shoulders, just, hey, relax that, bring that down. And that can be a great way for the partner to do it too, as they can just engage with soft touch that really bumps up oxytocin. Lower back massage just relieves tension after surges. And then a light touch and jiggle. And that's why I wanted to put it before the Rebozo.
Oh, yes.
Jiggle is such a funny word, but it is exactly what you were doing. And with soft hands, you're just shaking the back, hips, thighs, hamstring, bottom. And this helps release the fascia in that area, which in turn releases the tendons and ligaments and just provides, again, more room for baby to shift and descend. And it's incredibly relaxing. So it can help mama move more into that parasympathetic nervous system. We want her to feel slow and steady, restful, not in the sympathetic where she's in a fight or flight. So it's very relaxing. And that does go into the Rebozo, because the Rebozo is doing that for you. So Rebozo is a long, kind of looks like a scarf. Sometimes you can even just use hospital sheet in the hospital. That's usually what I do, just for cleanliness. That they're sanitary. And you can put it, they have there on hands and knees. You can wrap it around their tummy and you're standing behind them and just lifting and holding their belly during a surge. Then you're acting as the broad ligament. So instead of their broad ligament pulling in their tummy and working really hard, you're doing it for them. And that adds comfort and relieves pressure, takes the load off for them literally. And then in between the surge, you can slowly let belly back down and then sift it, which is just, small movements, bring your hands back and forth. And that is, again, kind of jiggling that tummy. And shake the apple tree, my favorite one. And I love that this one's becoming more common in the hospital. The nurses talk about it, midwives, OBs, everyone, because it's magical.
I learned it from Gina Kirby herself.
Oh, amazing.
I had my sacred pregnancy instructor training. She was there. And so, yes, I learned about so many different techniques, including relaxation and partner bonding. But yes, shake the apple tree is one of my favorite.
And it's a funny name, but as mom is on hands and knees or on knees with her hands up on the top of the bed in a little bit different position, it is taking that Rebozo or sheet and fully covering from lower back to mid thigh, and then creating almost handles on the side. And with those handles and a firm grip, you're just shimmying back and forth and making the whole low back, bottom, legs jiggle. And this, again, it is just great for helping baby out of the mid pelvis. It is that myofascial release and for repositioning baby, for relaxing mom. It feels amazing. It usually brings on some laughter for both mom and partner, which is
Yes.
a great sensation to have during labor. So it's a fun one.
Yeah, and the doula or partner can do it alone, or in some births, I've done it with a nurse or the partner on one side, so two people can be involved. It just depends on how many resources you have and how often you're doing, because it can be tiring if with every contraction for a baby who needs to turn that you're utilizing that along with some other techniques.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely get our upper body workout during these births.
For sure.
Yeah, and that rebozo or sheet, you can also just tie a knot in one end, toss it over the door and shut the door. And that gives you some support to do a deep squat. You're holding on to that while you're squatting really low. Great for pelvic positioning. And I don't think we'd be doulas without the hip squeeze or the counter pressure. So we'll talk about those ones next. Again, that upper body, really good workout.
It is a great workout.
It was at a birth, this weekend, and the husband and I kept taking turns because it was 17 hours of hip squeezes. Woo! And so the two of us together, we'd do some together. He would take a few, I would take a few, and it was great. She was supported, he was connected, we were sore, but it was good. That double hip squeeze is really effective when they're sitting, they're kneeling, they're standing, they're dancing. You can do it at any time. So it doesn't matter what position she feels the most comfortable in, you can still get access if you can reach her hips. And it brings relief as you squeeze in and rotate up during the entire duration of the surge. And that opens pelvis, gives you more room, it takes the pressure off a ton.
It does. Yeah. And I even utilize the hip squeeze with an epidural. So it can be effective if there's still any discomfort in the hips.
Especially if they're still feeling on one hip.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the counter pressure. And sometimes mamas want, the hip squeeze, and then as baby gets lower, they want the counter pressure. Sometimes they want them intermittently, but that counter pressure is just a steady, firm press on the lower back with your palm for the entire duration of the surge. And that brings relief, especially if they're having back labor, if the baby's OP.
Hey, Alyssa here. I'm just popping in to tell you about our course called Becoming. Becoming a Mother is your guide to a confident pregnancy and birth, all in a convenient 6-week online program. From birth plans to sleep training and everything in between, you'll gain the confidence and skills you need for a smooth transition to motherhood. You'll get live coaching calls with Kristin and myself, a bunch of expert videos, including chiropractic care, pelvic floor physical therapy, mental health experts, breastfeeding, and much more. You'll also get a private Facebook community with other mothers going through this at the same time as you to offer support and encouragement when you need it most. And then, of course, you'll also have direct email access to me and Kristin, in addition to the live coaching calls. If you'd like to learn more about the course, you can email us at info@goldcoastdoulas.com or check it out at thebecomingcourse.com. We'd love to see you there.
Exactly. That's the main time that I use that in my comfort measures for labor class. When I do some of those demonstrations, explain to partners that they're most likely going to be using the hip squeeze unless, again, there's an issue with back labor and positioning, and nothing feels good but that solid, firm counter pressure.
Yeah. And I like to show them that one during their prenatal too, because that can be really helpful at home if right away when the onset of surges start, they feel like they need support, but they're not ready to go in and they're not ready for me to come. Then their partner can do all of those hip squeezes or counter pressure. And it's a good teamwork between the two of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's
another
next?
Simple one is just walking or dancing. It's just thinking about how you can use your body, how you can use gravity to help baby descend and progress labor, whether that's it hasn't started yet and you're past your due date and you're just really hoping to bring it on, going for a nice long walk keeps everything loose, and it can help bring on labor if your body's ready. It's great for early labor, during labor, if there's a stall, to just kind of help things move along. And it keeps your body really fluid. You want to avoid freezing into one position because that can just build up tension. So it's a great way to keep moving. Dancing together is just really beautiful. Again, brings that oxytocin, which you just want to keep flowing through the whole labor.
Yes. And as you mentioned, walking the halls.
Yeah.
So, and you have the railings that you can hold on to and stop in between contractions or surges. And movement is so helpful. Great tip.
Yeah. And one that's just across the board is their breath. Hopefully they've done a lot of work to control their breath and hone into their breath during pregnancy. But sometimes, in the heat of labor, they kind of forget and you'll hear their breath change and maybe they get a little panicky. And so as the doula, to emphasize my breath to help her refocus. So not even needing to say anything or do anything, but just to loudly next to her, just, and then you can see her, oh, right, okay. And then she starts breathing and she gets back control, and even helping to do that same thing during transition or during the pushing stage. If the breath and the vocalization has started to become really high and really screamy, it is perfectly okay and really positive to make a lot of noise during labor. But that high noise usually means that you are tensing. And if you are tensing up top, you are probably tensing your pelvic floor as well. And that is not what you want to kind of hold up baby. And so again, just kind of moaning or groaning or even mooing next to her to just like, oh, hey, let's bring it down and low. And it's helpful to not have to break her rhythm, to not have to say anything, but just to do it and then watch her follow suit or have partner do it. And then practicing that de-stressor breath, just in for 4 and out for 6. That's a great one to be doing warming up for labor at home, just practice. It can be great to recenter yourself during labor. So your breath is so, so, so important.
It is. It's everything. So the number one tool, and we don't want, our clients or students to hyperventilate. So talking about that with a partner is key.
Yeah, just to be really listening and being tuned.
Exactly. So what's next, Katie?
So the birth stool, not all places have this, but it is just helpful for physiological upright birth or position during labor, helps provide balance and support. And similar, you could be using the toilet instead, just because your body knows exactly what to do on the toilet. It knows to open, relax, release. And in either the birth stool position or the toilet position, you can be sitting on it and then putting one foot up onto a stool for a few surges and then switch. This is just shifting your pelvis, helping baby rotate and turn.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've seen the traditional birth stool used more at home births, but now hospitals have a new tool. So very exciting.
They do. The CUB, which stands for Comfortable Upright Birth. And I know that Gold Coast was instrumental in getting one of those in a hospital nearby.
We actually donated 3 to Trinity Health. Yeah.
It was awesome. Because this is just great for it. It looks like an inflated C. It's quite large.
Yeah.
And so you can sit on it with one leg on each of the arms, basically, or you can kneel and lean over it, resting your body. It can help with posterior pelvic pain or coccyx pain. And their website had some amazing stats that I just want to share. Is if you're like, oh, that's a new thing, or I don't know what that is, I don't need it. But if you hear these stats, they're truly amazing. It says it increases the available space in the pelvis by 30%. They can make surges more effective. You're 23% less likely to need medical assistance, and baby is 54% less likely to become distressed. It can decrease the length of labor, so shorter labors, and 29% reduced rate in emergency cesareans, and 21% reduced rate in episiotomies, and reduced rate for an epidural. So you're thinking you're just sitting on this, you're leaning over it, you're using it, but it's doing so much for your pelvis and your positioning that it can do all of those amazing things to progress your labor.
Exactly. And it's not just for sitting. Again, as you mentioned, you can do the kneeling and the leaning into, you could rotate your hips and do hands and knees, like supported on the CUB. There's just so many ways you can use it. I'm a huge fan of the CUB.
Yes. Definitely one to look up and look at pictures for, because it's a really cool tool.
Yes, and I'm happy to see even some of the smaller hospitals have recently gotten them. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. Seeing a lot of movement towards just that more physiological birth, just letting her body do what it's supposed to.
Exactly. So what's next?
A few kind of simple things, but using stairs or doing lunges or curb walking. These are just great things to shift the pelvis to assist with a asymmetric or an OP baby. Again, we're just trying to really move the pelvis, shift it, kind of jiggle it up so that baby can get out of maybe a stuck position or just get into a more optimal position, and using movement and walking. And another one is just the bath. The bath is amazing. That water, it does give you some buoyancy, which can relieve pressure and feel great. a lot of my clients are like, it just feels like a natural epidural. I feel amazing. And you
Yes.
see just a huge shift in their presence, their calmness, their control, their ability to handle the next surge. And it's a great, you go in there warm, you keep the lights down or off, maybe just you and partner, and it's calming, it resets, it allows connection. And you can go in as much as you want. You can stay in for as long as you want, as long as you're not overheating. Used it 4 times in the last birth. Just that was her tool. So she wanted. She just
Yeah.
wanted to breathe and float. And she just watching her move her body in her own instincts, what felt right. It was amazing. So water is awesome.
It is. And a lot of hospitals have jets, and I like to take the shower head and use that to have my
Yes.
clients get in different positions in the tub. And of course, not all hospitals have tubs. Some
Hmm.
have waterfall showers, or a standard shower is an option. And water in general can be calming, as you said, and just a great reset, and can keep any discomfort off of your back by having the flow of water like pointed.
Yeah. And the sensation and the noise of if you just have the bath running the whole time, kind of that white noise. And yeah, like you said, bringing the shower head down and having that hot water either hitting one spot or kind of a fluid motion up the entire length of the back sometimes can feel really nice.
Yeah, and then for those of you who plan to have a home birth or who have given birth at home before, there are the inflatable tubs. And I've also attended home births where my clients had a bigger tub of their own and they just delivered in their own
Hmm.
tub versus an inflatable.
Yeah.
So lots of options.
Yeah. And it can be great, in early labor just to relax when you don't want to be focusing on the labor too much. Be great for during transition. Yeah, it has many uses throughout the entire duration. And then if you're doing a home birth, yeah, being able to push baby and catch baby while you're in the water.
Yes. Yeah, so the water births are an option for many individuals,
Hmm.
depending on, the state requirements for midwives, but certainly in
Hmm.
Michigan. But in our hospitals, you can labor in water, and you can even have a walking monitor and be monitored while you're in the water, but you are not able to deliver your baby in water. So then you
No.
move to land to have your baby, which again,
Yeah.
movement is helpful. So
Yeah. And that is a point you talked about wireless monitoring, just asking for that to be able to keep moving. You can use wireless and they can put the bands on, or they've got intermittent Doppler monitoring if you and baby are doing well. So just to give you that freedom to move and to get in the water and to not feel stuck.
exactly. So, what is your other
I think
tool?
my last one, there's so many things, but the last one on my list is just using the squat bar. This is a metal bar that it attaches to the hospital bed. Most hospitals have them in every room, and it just allows for a supported squat so that you can, if you're feeling a little shaky or your legs don't feel like they can hold you, then just being able to be in bed and pull yourself up on this to have that supported squat, which increases the pelvic opening and helps with the descent of baby. You can do that during the pushing stage. You can tie a towel to the squat bar or a sheet to it and kind of do this tug of war motion, which can really help with pushing because you're giving this push-pull motivation in your brain. You can have your partner hold it or a nurse, or we can hold it and kind of going back and forth as you're pushing down low, you're also pulling, and it's just a great counteract in your body. And you can
Love
even
it.
rest
Yes.
rest your feet on it. If you don't want to rest your feet in the stirrups, you can rest your feet on it. I've had a few clients who've had just sort of trigger things with the stirrups, but they loved the squat bar. So they were very happy to put their feet on the squat bar, but they had wanted nothing to do with the stirrups. And so just having lots of options to move the bed, use different things, and again, just creating space and creating movement.
Yeah. And depending on the strength of the epidural, I've had clients
Hmm.
use the squat bar with support with an epidural.
Yeah,
They have some
absolutely.
movement in their legs. Yeah. So it's a great tool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing all of your amazing tips with our listeners. Any final suggestions or comments?
I think just believing in your body's capability to do this. So it's been fascinating to learn just what the body does on its own, the physiological aspect of it, and how your anatomy works with you to help birth this baby. So just believing in the power that you have, the support that you have, and just trusting in that and reminding yourself in that, like, I am safe. I can do this. I am supported. Our bodies are amazing. And it's just as a doula, it's a privilege to get to be in that room and help you know that, help you feel that so deeply. Like, you're doing this, girl.
Exactly. It is a privilege. It never gets old. Every birth and every person is so unique. So it's not like anything is routine for us as doulas, which I love.
I do too. No births are the same. And that, I mean, it helps us to hone our skills as we're on our toes the whole time. And it shows the beauty of it.
Yes, it's so beautiful. Well, I appreciate you so much, Katie. We're very lucky to have you on the Gold Coast team. So you can check out Katie's bio at goldcoastdoulas.com. And you're welcome to also take a look at the Spinning Babies website to find some of the positions and techniques that Katie mentioned. And if you aren't planning to hire a doula, then check out our comfort measures for labor class at Gold Coast Doulas. That's part of our Saturday series. We also offer hypnobirthing, which is a 5-week comprehensive childbirth class. It is very partner involved, and it involves a lot of visualization, focuses on breath work, and understanding the physiology of what your body is doing at each stage in labor. Thanks so much, Katie.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me.
Talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Ask the Doulas. For more information about Gold Coast Doulas, visit us on our website, goldcoastdoulas.com. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Thank you. Remember, these moments are golden.